Hello, my name is Grayson Greener. Welcome to my presentation. My master's degree is in industrial organizational psychology, which is the application of psychological principles to the workplace. And so my research project is on work ethic as it pertains to millennials. So the title is Do Millennials Value Work Ethic? An Implicit Association Test of Work Ethic. So the introduction, the research in a nutshell, millennials are viewed as lacking work ethic by older generations. Explicit testing shows little to no difference in work ethic between generations, and yet these stereotypes still persist. Even millennials themselves don't self-identify with work ethic. Explicit measures of work ethic may not be detecting something, and implicit measures may detect differences in attitudes and beliefs that these explicit tests are missing. And so it may not be that millennials necessarily lack work ethic, but believe that it doesn't pay off. So our research question and hypotheses. Our research question is, do millennials differ in their implicit beliefs and attitudes of work ethic from previous generations? So our null hypothesis states that there is no difference between generations. The mean of baby boomers is the same as Gen Xers, which is the same of millennials. And so our alternate hypothesis states that the mean of boomers does not equal the mean of Gen Xers, which does not equal the mean of millennials, or that one of those generations differs from the others. So in our case, we're looking and hypothesizing that millennials are going to differ. So some of the research leading up to this project, millennials are the first generation who don't self-identify with work ethic. So what that means is when you ask some of the members of the older generations to describe themselves, one thing that they consistently say, whether it be baby boomers or Gen Xers, is that they view themselves as hard workers and see a strong work ethic as an important part of who they are as people. And so millennials on average do not self-identify with work ethic. Stereotypes have developed of millennials being self-centered, unmotivated, disrespectful, and disloyal. Millennials value different things than previous generations, particularly in the workplace, as we're talking here. Millennials prefer jobs that have good work-life balance over jobs that have good career advancement. So this may indicate that millennial workers do not value hard work as much as previous generations because they don't care about career advancement as much as previous generations. Millennials also report a need to be rewarded at least monthly, if not more so. And this really contrasts with older generations who state needing to be rewarded every few months or less. Again, this could indicate that millennials do not value hard work as much because they feel that they're not being rewarded adequately for it. Millennials also value ego status. What ego status is rewards for performance and recognition for work. So again, this supports the Stewart research, which states that millennials don't feel like they're being rewarded as often as they feel they should be. They also value ego status, or sorry, basic needs, which are more free time at work, pleasant working conditions, higher quality and quantity of personal property, less physical strain and discomfort. And in this particular study, increased pay was one of those. And then the last one is belonging, which is friendly coworkers, interacting with other workers, and being part of a team. And so millennials scored higher in those three categories, and baby boomers and Gen Xers scored higher in safety needs, which are high performance standards, safe working conditions, and other benefits such as healthcare, 401k, things that kind of create a safety net, whether that be literal physical safety or financial safety, things like that. The Kalkin-Patrick study also showed that millennials are more likely to change jobs to find basic needs and belonging. They rate career advancement below other job factors. Again, this could show that millennial workers don't value hard work as highly as previous generations because they're just not as concerned with motivating factors such as career advancement and promotions and things like that. So the need for recognition and reward was rated highest, and shows that millennials may not value hard work if they are not immediately rewarded for it. Millennials claim a strong work ethic when asked directly. So again, these explicit tests that ask questions quite directly, do you value strong work ethic? Millennials say yes, and yet the older generations say that they disagree, that millennials value strong work ethic. Extrinsic tests show little to no difference in work ethic. They are 5 times more likely to change companies. Fairness was one of the main reasons, and they defined fairness as my performance appraisal is a fair reflection of my performance, and promotions in my work unit are based on merit. So again, this shows that millennials don't feel like they're being rewarded, promoted according to how they feel they should be. So generational reward and contribution differences exist. This study by Coleman et al. Showed that generational reward contributions were significantly different between the generations. Equity theory states that individuals closely examine the outcome input ratio in the exchange relationship with their organizations. And what this means is that anything we're doing throughout the day, we judge it. If I put in this amount of effort, am I getting this amount of reward for it? And so the Coleman study looked at receiving rewards based on effort. And so being rewarded excessively for small contributions really bothered. Being rewarded excessively for small contributions reduced older generations' job satisfaction. So what that means is when older generations saw people getting rewards, cash rewards for putting in very little effort, they were very bothered by it. But millennials weren't. They were okay with being rewarded for putting in very little effort. And conversely, Gen Xers and boomers had no problem being rewarded less often and receiving cash bonuses less often for putting in high amounts of effort. And millennials did have an issue with that. It did decrease their job satisfaction. When millennials put in a lot of effort and didn't get rewarded for it, their job satisfaction decreased. And so millennials are okay with being over rewarded, but not under rewarded. And previous generations are okay with being under rewarded, but don't like when people are over rewarded for not putting in a lot of effort. The most comprehensive scale to date is the multidimensional work ethic profile. This explicit test directly measures attitudes and beliefs by asking just straightforward questions. And so the issue with asking straightforward questions is they're prone to people being deceptive and lying. If we ask someone, do you value work ethic? They're probably going to say yes, especially if it is in any way related to their job. If they're applying for a job, do you value work ethic? Anybody who says no probably isn't going to be getting that job. And so there's a lot of incentive to be dishonest. And so implicit association tests attempt to indirectly measure these attitudes and beliefs. And the way that they do that is by having people pair words together, either a positive word or a negative word. And we're looking at the latency times, not necessarily how you answer. You're told how to answer, but we're looking at how long it takes you to answer. And so these implicit association tests, or IATs, may detect things that millennials, it might detect that millennials don't believe that hard work pays off, or at least in certain situations. So the methods and data collection, participants from all three generations will be recruited. Sample size will be 969 per generation, so a total of 2507. Participants will be briefed, given informed consent, take the IAT, and be debriefed. Our implicit association tests, like I said, it compares latency rates between the MWEP dimension number 4, which is hard work. And what we're looking for here is the latency time differences between positive associations and negative associations. And so if we say hard work, we are going to tell you to pair the positive words with hard work. And so those positive words can be things such as rewarding, pays off, promotion, bonuses, etc. Then what we'll do is have the participants pair negative words with hard work. And so these negative words could be unrewarding, unfair, exploitative, does not pay off, etc. And so basically, the theory behind the implicit association test is that whichever, if you believe that hard work pays off, your latency periods, the time it takes you to pair hard work with positive adjectives, will be shorter in duration than pairing negative words with it. And conversely, if you don't believe that hard work pays off, then your positive adjectives, it will take you longer to pair those with hard work than the negative words. Again, our positive associations. And so our hypothetical results, the alpha for the ANOVA is set at 0.05 to achieve a power of 0.80 and detect really small effect sizes. We're using this really large sample size of 969 per generation. But because the generational sizes are so large, I mean, we have millions of workers in each generation. Coming up with 1,000 people per generation isn't going to be that difficult, especially utilizing the website. So our F-crit was 3.41, which exceeds our cutoff value of 3.0, and our P was 0.019, which is below our 0.05 cutoff. So we're able to reject the null hypothesis. Our ANOVA test indicates that there are generational differences. But what it doesn't do is tell us which generation differed from the others. Our ANOVA only tells us that one generation did differ. And so post hoc testing is necessary. So we used Tukey's test, which showed that millennials specifically differed from baby boomers and Gen Xers with our p-value below 0.05. And then our baby boomers and Gen Xers did not significantly differ from one another. And this indicates that implicit testing is picking up differences that explicit testing is not. Our multidimensional work ethic profile, our MWEP, is showing that no differences exist in attitudes and beliefs of work ethic, but our implicit association test is picking up on some differences there. So future research, of course, we'd need replication. And then a valid and reliable implicit association test also opens the door to measure other workplace behaviors besides just hard work, honesty, or you know, some of the other dimensions that are on the MWEP. It also allows us to study different workplace incentive structures, because our results showed that the implicit testing is picking up differences. Perhaps those differences are due to certain workplace incentive structures not being set up to reward millennials as they see appropriate, and whether that be not often enough or for the right behaviors. Again, we said that millennials prefer ego status, like rewards for performance, recognition for work, basic needs, more free time at work, which is a big one that millennials, they want to be able to pay their bills, take care of life stuff that, they don't have the opportunity to do when they're stuck at work. More pleasant working conditions, higher quantity and quality of personal property, less physical strain and discomfort. Is their job unpleasant? And then a sense of belonging, friendly coworkers, interacting with other workers, and being part of a team. And so these workplace incentive structures can be modified. And what may happen as a result is you'll find that millennials, it's maybe not that millennials don't value work ethic, it's maybe they just don't value it when they're rewarded a certain way. So we could also create studies using different types of implicit tests. The implicit association test is just one type of implicit test. There are others that exist and have validity and have better validity in certain uses, in certain situations. So In conclusion, our implicit tests show that millennials have differing beliefs and attitudes regarding work ethic. Millennials value things outside of work ethic and may not be being rewarded appropriately. The incentive structures should be modified so that millennials value rewards, and this may increase millennial attitudes and beliefs regarding work ethic. Here are the references for those studies if you are interested in looking into those. There is a lot of fascinating stuff regarding the different generations. Most of you are probably in that millennial age. And if not, I think you'll still be quite fascinated to dive into some of that research on those differences. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. And good luck on your projects.